Opening credits. Ava and Carol Detective Agency. The Mystery of Solomon's Ring. Chapter 14. Bamboozled. Ava followed Carol across the piazza to a jeweler's shop she had noticed near Signora Coppola's bookstore. Carol had filled her in on the plan during their quick journey. They paused briefly, collecting their thoughts. They were on a mission, and there was no time to waste. Ava pushed the door open, which signaled a tinkle of a bell. As they walked in, they could see glass displays covering the walls, filled with beautiful rings, necklaces, earrings, and bracelets. There was a bench in the center of the room and a counter. The whole place sparkled, and to top it off, it smelled lightly of lemons. "Wow," breathed Ava. "I could live here." "Posso aiutarla?" asked the man behind the counter. He leaned over, studying the girls. Gray hair surrounded his bald scalp like a halo. Scruff covered his slightly sagging cheeks, and while they made it look like he was frowning, Carol could see laugh lines on the corners of his eyes. He wore a button-up white shirt and a black vest that hung over his belly. "Parle inglese?" Carol inquired. "Si," he said. "How can I help you girls?" "I was wondering, are you the owner of the store?" "Yes, I'm Nico Gabriella, and my daughter Mary runs it. Now, how can I be of service?" "Sir, Mr. Gabriella, we really need your help," blurted Ava, who marched up to the counter. "We have a huge school project that's due the moment we get back to the United States, and we're taking off on a plane tonight. We're trying to find King Solomon's ring. You know, the famous ring?" "Oh, yes, I've heard the story. It gives the one who possesses the ring magical powers." "Yeah, something like that," acknowledged Ava. "Well, I sort of fibbed. I told my teacher I knew where to find it." Carol interrupted. "We found a man online who was selling a map that was supposed to lead us to the ring, and, well, the map turned out to be fake." "Imagine that," he smiled politely. "And now I'll be returning back without the ring," Ava said. "I can't fail this class, sir. I figured if I showed up with a ring that resembled Solomon's ring, then my teacher would at least understand how hard I tried." "If you could help us, you might literally be saving our lives," said Carol, pleading. "And my mom's," Ava added silently. "A school project, "Yes, sir." Carol unzipped her pocket and showed him the map to help bolster their story. "And here are some pictures we found on the internet. It was the closest we could find as a historical reference to the ring." Carol handed Mr. Gabriella her phone. "Do you think you could help us?" He looked at the photos for a moment before shaking his head. "Mi dispiace, girls. I have much to do today. I'm sorry." As he turned away, Ava leaned on the counter, putting her hands on the glass. "Sir, please." She looked at him, eyes growing huge. "We're desperate. I can't repeat the 7th grade. I really need your help." He hesitated, looking at her. "Please, sir." She pulled the American Express card out of her pocket and put it on the counter. "If this isn't enough, sir, I will get more. Please." Something in Ava's voice caused Mr. Gabriella to pause. "Are you sure that this is just for a school project?" he asked, not suspiciously, but more fatherly. Ava fought back the tears, desperation filling her heart. "Yes, sir," she whispered. He tilted his head and sighed. "Okay." He gently pushed the card back to Ava. "Put your money away. I do not want you to be sad. Please," he smiled. "Put your money away, piccolo angelo." Little angel. "Oh, thank you, Mr. Gabriella," cried Ava. "Thank you." "Prego," he replied. He nodded to a leather-cushioned bench. "Now go sit, and I will be done as quickly as I can." He took Carol's phone with him, looking at the photo. He shook his head and grumbled a little as he disappeared into the back room behind the counter. With huffs of relief, the two sat down on the bench and waited. And waited. And waited. First 15 minutes passed, then 20, then 25. They began shifting uncomfortably, too aware of the time. They only had 20 minutes left to get to the Piazza Carlo Goldoni. Finally, after 30 minutes, Mr. Gabriella reappeared, holding a polished ring and smiling. Ava jolted up and hurried over to him. "Here, piccolo angelo," he said, placing the ring in her palm. Ava's mouth fell open in amazement. The ring was a perfect replica. Mr. Gabriella chuckled at her reaction. "There you go, eh?" he said, a grin in the corner of his mouth. "And if your teacher don't like it, tell them that they can take their complaints to Nico Gabriella." "Thank you so much," Ava exclaimed, throwing her arms around him. "Thank you, Mr. Gabriella," smiled Carol. He grinned and patted Ava's back, and then with an he waved them out of the store. Ava glanced back to smile one more time at Mr. Gabriella before they shut the door and were off again. "We have to hurry," Carol said, panic clear in her voice. She handed the real ring to Ava, who shoved it into her sock. The fake ring went into Carol's pocket. "We don't have much time, and we've never been there before." "Let's go," agreed Ava, and they were off, dashing to get to the Piazza Carlo Goldoni. Ava felt like she was running faster than she ever had before as they raced to their secret meeting place. Everything could be lost if they didn't get there in time. The girls arrived at the Piazza Carlo Goldoni, stumbling onto the stone area surrounded by larger buildings. Carol couldn't help but feel a little trapped. She looked around wildly until she spotted it. A black SUV with tinted windows was parked at the curb. The street light above it was conveniently broken. She bumped Ava's shoulder and nodded at the SUV. That had to be them. Just like clockwork, Rossi climbed out of the passenger side of the vehicle, shiny Italian shoes glinting in the light. The driver, a tall, thin man, still wearing a bandage on his nose, got out and leaned against the car, watching the girls. Ava recognized him as Rossi's partner who had chased them. She glowered at the man. He should have stayed extinguished. Rossi strode over to the pair, and Ava and Carol could practically hear the other's heart pounding. He approached them and smiled, his bottom lip stretching until it was thin. He stopped when he was a few feet away. "I trust that you have brought what I requested?" he asked. Ava nodded. "We did," she answered bitterly. "Now, where's my mom?" The man turned and snapped his fingers, and the back window of the car lowered. Ava's mom sat in the back seat. She stared at her daughter, a piece of duct tape over her mouth. Even from where they stood, Ava could see that she looked frazzled and anxious. Ava's breath caught in her throat.
"If you do anything to my mom, Rossi, you are going to be in a world of hurt."
Somehow that grin stretched further. He looked eviler than any Disney villain she'd grown up with. A chill ran down her spine. Ava pulled out the map, keeping the copper tube hidden, and Carol pulled out the ring.
"I kept my part of the deal,"
hissed Ava.
"Now you keep up yours."
His eyes stared at the ring. That greedy look appeared in his eyes, and he started salivating again as he did in the bookstore the day before.
"Rossi!"
shouted Ava. His head snapped up.
"I'm not waiting anymore. You have what you want. Now give me my mom."
Her anger sparked, and she wanted to charge at the man.
"Not so fast,"
snapped Rossi.
"We need to make sure that the scroll and the ring are real."
"Look," said Carol furiously, stepping forward.
"We don't care about any stupid scroll and some cheap ring. We're sorry we ever got caught up in all of this craziness. Look at us. We're 12 years old. We don't want the scroll or the ring. We just want her mom back."
The man hesitated, thinking to himself. Ava could practically hear his thoughts from where she stood. Maybe the girls really don't have any idea what they have. He flicked his fingers, motioning for his partner to open the door to the vehicle. Ava's mom stumbled out and stood by the car. Another man slid out the back behind her, his hand inside his jacket.
"Mom!"
cried out Ava.
"Say another word, and she disappears,"
promised Rossi.
"Now, let me take the ring and the scroll. If they are both authentic, then I'll keep my deal."
The man let Ava's mom take one step toward the girls.
"Mom,"
whispered Ava, her eyes pleading with her to tell her what to do. Rossi stepped forward, his hand outstretched in front of him.
"Now, or I'll have my men take them from you. Your choice,"
he hissed, brushing his jacket aside to reveal the taser. Ava stared him in the eyes, anger coursing like venom through her veins. He took the map from Ava and put it into his suit jacket. He then reached out his hand and closed it over the ring like a trap, snatching it from Carol's trembling hand. He let loose a chuckle. He held it up to the light, marveling at the ring. He glanced at the girls.
"Oh, you have no idea what you've done."
Rossi snapped his fingers. Ava's mom was shoved back into the car. "Wait," started Ava, taking a step forward. He spun on his heel quickly and began to stride away.
"Wait, no, we had a deal."
She dashed after Rossi and grabbed him by the arm. With amazing strength, he flicked her off like she was a bug. She crashed to the ground, bouncing off the gray stones of the piazza and banging her knee and elbow. She gritted her teeth and struggled to stand.
"Mom!"
yelled Ava, jumping to her feet and running toward the SUV. Rossi calmly climbed into the passenger side and drove away, taking her mother with him. Ava watched as Carol also had taken off toward the SUV, tugging off her shoe in the process. With an audible shout, Carol threw her shoe at the car. It roared off, unbothered, into the night.
Why did they take my mom?"
whispered Ava, coming to a stop.
"We gave them what they wanted."
"They kept her as insurance. They want to make sure the scroll and the ring are real."
"What happens when they find out it's not?"
asked Ava.
"I'm guessing,"
paused Carol.
They're going to be very angry. and demand the real ring, or there will be consequences.
Ava's knee and elbow stung as she moved. There was a kind of uncontrollable ache in her stomach. It made her feel like the wind had been knocked out of her, and she was on the verge of throwing up, all at the same time.
What do we do?
Carol wondered aloud, hands on her hips.
It's only a matter of time before they figure out that the ring is fake. How long do you think it will take them to figure out the map?
They don't have the copper tube with the main clue, so chances are they won't figure out the map.
Unless the old man that they kidnapped knows the secret of the map. I'm sure they have ways to make him talk.
Carol shuddered at the thought. There's only one thing we can do, said Ava. She sniffed and lifted her chin. They are desperate to get the ring. They will do anything for the ring. They're not going to do anything to my mom as long as we have this ring.
So, what are you thinking?
Ava's eyes flicked to Carol's. How well do you speak French? Carol's jaw dropped.
Are you serious?
Her eyes turned steely. Dead serious. And this time, the trade is going to be on our terms. Carol smiled.
I like your moxie. Those guys are going to regret the day they met us.
If you're enjoying Thomas Lockhaven's audiobook content, please like and subscribe. It's the best way to help out the channel.